I was once a failed adventurer, only good for taking hits. However, after realizing I was the strongest tanker but could only use a shield, I formed a team with some supergirls, and together we raided dungeons during the day, and at night I raided their dungeons. One day, while dreaming of my little sister Manicia, my teammate Nin reminded me of this awesome siscon that we were in a guild. She wanted me to show my affection for her, but I frankly said no one was cuter than Manicia. I also told Nin that my goal was to find a secret treasure in the labyrinth, which could grant any wish to cure my sister. Nin comforted me, reminding me that the whole team could fight thanks to my protection, and told me to hold my head high because my shield's defense stat was the highest ever. Just then, the famous hero Kygless entered the guild hall with the adventurer twin sisters, Lilia and Lily, and he introduced me and Nin to the two new members of the team. Nin immediately reminded Kygless that the labyrinth rule only allowed 6 members, so he said he would kick me out of the team because I was a useless tanker. Nin tried to argue to protect me, but Kygless said he preferred the new members because they were evasive tankers who could do more than just play a flawed Captain America. I agreed and left, but Kygless rubbed salt in the wound by taking my sword to offset his deficit profit from the previous day. A little later, I was sitting by a fountain, thinking about how I failed, when I heard a group talking about a support mission for the city named Kygless. So I requested to go with them. When they realized I was a member of the Heroes Guild, they accepted me immediately, and I accompanied them on the journey. During the journey, I stopped the horse when I heard a noise, thinking bandits were about to attack. But it turned out to be a strange girl with a magic gem on her chest. Just then, a monster called a forest snake appeared, and the group panicked because they knew it had lethal poison. But I used my charisma to attract its attention. The snake spat poison at me, but I dodged it until it was knocked into a nearby tree. When I stood up, I told the group members to attack the snake while I used my shield to block it. And as they followed this plan, the monster counterattacked with a berserk attack. However, I managed to block the berserk attack, helping the adventurers defeat the forest snake with a series of magic attacks. And I told them to carve up the snake while I checked on the girl. The girl told me she had nowhere to go, so I suggested taking her to Avancia with me, and she agreed. The next day, I completed the client's mission, and the adventurers invited me to join their guild, but I refused because my personal mission was to find a treasure to cure my sister. As I walked with the girl, I introduced myself, and she said she didn't have a name, so I named her Luna. When we made camp that night, a few wolves tried to attack Luna, but she easily took them down with her trained skills. And this made me realize that she is an illegally created homunculus. And when I asked her what skill she had, she said she had a skill called appraisal. I was shocked because the appraisal skill is very rare. So rare that she was the only one in the world who possessed it at that time. And I asked her to appraise my skills. She told me my tanker skills, which I already knew, and added that I have a skill called life conversion, which allows me to convert depleted life essence into power. I realized it was an offensive skill, and then Luna revealed that I also have another skill called sacrifice, which allows me to take damage for others. I realized that I had been shouldering the damage for the whole team without even knowing it, and I thanked Luna for her help. The next day, we arrived at Avancia. Luna found Avancia to be a peaceful town, and I said it was a beautiful place, though the area didn't have much. As we walked forward, a red-haired girl suddenly hugged me and asked how long I would stay this time. Another friend of mine, dressed like a character from Game of Thrones, appeared and pulled the red-haired girl away from me. I said it was nice to see them and asked what they were doing here. So the red-haired girl said she came here to buy a bow while the other girl named Phil was on patrol. Phil said she came to visit Manicia and found her well. I thanked her and said I didn't have to worry about Manicia when I was on duty because the whole town was looking after her. After that, I introduced Luna to them, and the red-haired girl introduced herself to Luna as the blacksmith shop's advertisement girl named Melina. Phil introduced herself as the deputy leader of the town patrol, and she immediately hid behind her helmet. So I explained that she was a bit shy. When Luna and I returned home, I told her to be quiet because Manicia might still be sleeping. But then I smelled the aroma of the 5-star meal she had prepared. Manicia suddenly appeared and greeted me before asking who Luna was. I, this silly fool, immediately entered simp mode and introduced Luna to her before announcing that she would be staying with us for a while. Manicia introduced herself to Luna and told her to make herself at home before inviting us to dinner. She put on an apron while preparing our meal, but I told her not to strain herself as she was still weak. However, Manicia said she would be fine because she felt healthy today, and I suggested we cook together. Manicia agreed, and Luna asked me about Manicia's dancing hair, so I explained that the hair danced according to her feelings. I asked Manicia if she knew I was coming home thanks to her skill, and Manicia said yes before reminding me that I had to help her prepare dinner. When the meal was ready, Luna held her spoon strangely while eating. And when Manicia asked her about it, she apologized and said she had only used a spoon a few times. After remembering how she used to be clumsy in her days as a slave, Luna began to cry and promised that she would do better next time. However, Manicia told her she didn't need to apologize, and just showed her how to use a spoon properly before promising to teach her everything she didn't know. Luna thanked her with a warm smile, and we spent the next few days teaching her how to do basic chores. One morning, Luna revealed her hidden Gordon Ramsay talent when preparing a breakfast feast, and we goofy brothers were utterly amazed. So she explained that she simply made all the dishes Manicia had taught in the past 3 days. When I and Manicia tried it, we found it very delicious, and I was very impressed that Luna could master all life skills in such a short time. I wondered if that was the learning speed of a homunculus, and Manicia suggested we take Luna for a walk around town that day as the weather was very nice. Manicia brought out a blue dress and asked for help putting it on Luna, but Luna said she would change herself and ran off with the dress. After she left, Manicia worried she had done something wrong with Luna, but I knew she was just trying to hide her magic stone from Manicia. A little later, the 3 of us were walking around town when Melina's estranged father, Raal, appeared and asked me if I was here to have children with his daughter. I said no and introduced him to Luna before informing him that my magic sword had been stolen. Raal promised to make me a wonderful new sword and asked if Melina could help, as she was a skilled blacksmith. So I agreed. I intended to leave, but Raal asked me to show Luna a place in our town called the Monster Market. When we arrived there, I explained to Luna that the bizarre vegetables she was seeing were mutated plants and that they needed mana to grow, so they could be grown year-round. I also informed her that it was very nutritious, and suddenly some kids in the area started accusing me of having charmed a fiery girl. So I explained that Luna was my adventuring companion. The boys teased me by saying I would never have a girlfriend because I was obsessed with my sister, and when I asked who taught them to say that, they said it was Phil. Just then, their grandmother, Gigi, appeared, and as she ordered the boys back to work, Luna had a flashback of her days as a slave. She started shaking until I introduced Gigi to her as the town's doctor, and the one who brewed medicine for Manicia. Some of my adventurer friends appeared, and we all had fun together while harvesting some fruits. As we walked home that evening, I asked Luna how she felt about the town, and she said she loved it so much, she wished she could stay here forever. Then, she showed me the magic stone on her chest, and revealed that she was a combat homunculus, developed in the neighboring country of Brunkles. With teary eyes, she apologized for not telling me sooner, but I apologized in advance and admitted that I already knew. When she asked why I saved her, I told her about Manicia living in the slums, until I brought her back and asked if she wanted to live as a human or a homunculus. She said she wanted to live as a human, and we came to an agreement. When we returned home, Luna told Manicia that she was a homunculus, and they agreed to continue to be friends. The next day, I was having fun with everyone when one of my adventurer friends challenged me to a duel. However, I said I would duel them after my match with Phil, and Phil agreed. So we put on our armor and went out to duel. During the match, I blocked Phil's attacks, and Manicia explained to Luna that we were the strongest warriors in town. Phil tried to finish me off, but I blocked it and knocked her down with a single slash, and everyone was surprised that I finally got an attack skill. When Phil asked me about that skill, I explained that my life transformation skill allowed me to convert my desperate strength into power, and I thanked her for helping me train. That night, Manicia had a dream about being bullied until I found her, and when she woke up, she wondered if she was hindering me from living more freely. The next morning, I greeted Manicia, but she seemed strangely distant as she prepared breakfast. Just then, Luna walked into the room and started apologizing for preparing breakfast late, but then she noticed that Manicia had finished preparing breakfast, and Manicia laughed at her for her messy hair. Luna told me that she was ashamed that she couldn't do anything right, and I told her not to worry because we would help each other. Then she mentioned that Manicia and I were very knowledgeable and asked who taught us everything we knew. So I revealed that I had learned through an apprenticeship program. I mentioned that I used to live in the slums and explained to her that apprenticeship was a master-disciple relationship. At that time, there was an effort by the noble families to bring the residents back to the slums to have a self-sufficient life. And so, I and others were able to attend night classes. Manicia began to recall everyone accusing her of stealing my freedom. And I brought her back to reality before asking if she needed anything. She said she didn't need anything. So, I left, and Luna started worrying about her. When we were attending night school, I was an excellent student who always got the highest scores, so everyone expected me to become the next Jon Snow. However, Manicia noticed a few girls in the corner talking about my decision to become an adventurer to cure her illness, and they said they felt sorry for me because Manicia was preventing me from doing what I wanted. Manicia realized that her presence had blocked many paths for her brother. Currently, Manicia is lying in bed when Luna walks into her room, and when she asked if she was feeling unwell, Manicia said she was only thinking about the past. Luna took her hand and told her she did that to encourage her, because she noticed she was sad. She apologized for not being able to think of a better way to encourage her, and Manicia asked what she would do if she knew someone was giving up their life for themselves. Luna asked if Manicia was talking about me, and she tried to deny it, but Luna saw through it and advised her to talk to me about it. Luna mentioned that I had saved her, an illegal homunculus, and guessed that my way of thinking was different from others. However, Manicia said she didn't know how to interact with her brother because she tried to keep as much distance as possible so as not to depend on me too much. She admitted that she just wanted to treat me well but didn't know how, and Luna suggested she tell me how she felt. Manicia started to panic when she realized her brother was coming home, and Luna advised her to talk to me because I wouldn't know what she was thinking if she didn't say it. When I got home, I tried to tell them about some of the fruits I had bought, but Manicia interrupted by asking to be spoken to seriously. The foolish girl started to lose her composure, but Luna calmed her down by holding her hand, and she started by asking if I was comfortable with my current life. I said yes, and she asked herself why I said that, because she knew I would have been happier if I had chosen a different path. Manicia then asked why I saved her when she was abandoned, and I said it was because she had saved me before. This confused Manicia, so I recounted how when we were young, the townspeople treated me like a monster because I was big and unsightly. However, Manicia never showed fear of me, and this made me happy whenever it happened. I said that although I initially had doubts about living with her, I was sure I had made the right choice because I loved the time I spent with her. These sweet words made Manicia cry, and she apologized for thinking I was unhappy with our current living situation. I said it was okay, but she suddenly hugged me, and we had an emotional brother-sister bonding moment. Afterwards, I thanked Luna, and she said she didn't do anything. Manicia then explained that we wouldn't have reconciled without her before thanking her. Just then, Nin appeared, and when I asked her what she was doing there, she said she came to visit me because her church gave her some time off. She revealed that she was no longer a member of the Brave Men's team because after I left, the team continuously failed to conquer dungeons until the team finally disbanded. During one of the Brave Men's team's raids, the whole team struggled with some monsters. And when Kygless activated a searching skill called Fate Destroyer, he noticed that he had lost 1,000 points of mana absorption. He realized that his skills had weakened since I left, and his mana depleted faster than before. He managed to defeat the monster, and the whole team suggested retreating, but the stubborn fool chose to continue the raid and was eventually hit by a monster until he fell. He started to panic like a pathetic loser until the remaining team members picked him up and ran away. In the hospital, Kygless started blaming the team members for his own failures, so Nin had him corrected by pointing out he's just a foolish, reckless guy who only appears strong because of the support I gave him while I was there. And after that, everyone left the party. For now, Nin is sorry that she didn't know I've been carrying them on the battlefield all this time, and I'm also sorry for not realizing my skills sooner. Nin said she would stay in Avancia for a while, and Manicia told her she could stay with us, but I told her Nin is the daughter of a duke. However, Nin agreed to stay with us. So I led her to my room. Just then, Phil appeared and informed me about a monster attacking the orchard. When we got there, we found a giant black wolf, and Nin dispelled its dark aura with her magic. The monster threw Phil's father away like a dog, and I blocked one of its attacks before telling everyone about my sacrificial ability. Hearing this, the guards rushed in without fear of injury and beat the wretched monster until it started to flee, until Luna stopped it with a stone wall. I annihilated the beast by attacking it with all the power of my life transformation skill, and Phil thanked me for helping them defeat the monster without any casualties. A few days later, I was reading the news, and suddenly Manicia made this young man's non-existent brain melt by sitting on my lap. She asked me to read the news for her, and I tried to remind her that she could read and write, but I finally gave up seeing her cute face. I read that a dungeon had appeared in Avancia, and I remembered a few days ago someone told me that a dungeon appearing nearby would make the area more lively. Manicia told me that Nin dislikes Kygless because he made fun of me, and I blushed as I told her that Nin has many personal feelings about the matter. Manicia was surprised that I realized Nin's feelings for me, and asked if I was pretending not to notice because of her condition. I explained to her that because I am a weak person, I tend to become clingy in romantic relationships, and that prevents me from conquering dungeons. Manicia reassured me that I would be fine, and told me not to worry about her, even if I find happiness with someone else. A while later, everyone gathered in the forest, and Phil announced that they were summoned to take down a monster called the Peacock King, which was discovered in the vicinity recently. She explained that Peacock Kings are monsters that live in a region far to the south, and that it's hard to believe one traveled such a long distance to Avancia without being noticed. Phil then said that they need to investigate the cause of its disappearance and subdue it, before instructing them to inform the guards if they find the entrance to the dungeon the Peacock King escaped from. Nin asked me about my new sword, so I told her that I contracted the skilled blacksmiths Lilia and Lily to craft and polish my sword. I also informed her that my sword had an enhancement ability. And when Luna asked what enhancement meant, I explained that different elements could be used to alter the magic stone's mana, thereby enhancing the weapon. I decided to explain a bit, and I explained that I can use the magic of all elements, but not well enough to benefit attacks. I channeled a small fireball I had created into the mana stone, and this turned the sword into a mini version of Rengoku's sword, and I explained that it could be used to aim for the monster's weak point. A low-rank adventurer in the party told me that the sword was wasted on me because I was F rank, and I realized he was a C rank adventurer. The arrogant fool told me to go home, and Luna was ready to pounce on him. But I told her to calm down and said that I preferred to be underestimated rather than overestimated. However, Luna said she didn't like seeing me being ridiculed. And Nin told me that everyone underestimated me because I refused to update my rank even though I was strong enough to be knighted by a saint like her. This shocked the C-rank fool, so Nin informed him that I had rejected her offer to raise my rank. And when he asked me why, I explained that I didn't want to raise my rank too much because I knew the guild would summon me if I did. Just then, a phantom monkey attacked us, and Phil blocked its powerful blows with his sword before pushing it back. Nin was surprised by this, so I told her that Phil was better than an ordinary adventurer before charging to face the monster. Using my wind magic skill, I made the monster take all the attacks directed at me while I shielded, and this allowed the others to attack it with their own attacks. However, I noticed something was wrong because the phantom monkey was acting just like a tanker. And just then, 2 more phantom monkeys jumped out from some trees. One of them knocked a knight to the floor before I ran in front of them, and Phil started to lose composure, so I reminded her that she was the leader. I told her to find a way to overcome this situation, so she announced that they would regroup. Using my wind magic skill, I made all 3 giant blue mutant monsters attack me at once, and Phil told the others to get into position. I blocked the attacks of one of the monsters, and Luna chopped it from behind with a wind spell. This created an opportunity for the C-rank adventurer and his party to overwhelm it with attacks. When the second phantom monkey attacked me, I remembered that fire was this creature's weakness, so I attacked it with my fire sword, allowing Phil to land the finishing blow. The final Flower King tried to attack me, but I blocked its attacks, and the girls attacked it with their strongest spells, allowing me to finish it with a Hinokami Kagura technique. After the battle, the C-rank adventurer apologized to me, and the nature monsters were destroyed, leaving behind magic stones on the ground. I realized they were dying like monsters in a dungeon, and Nin showed me there was a dungeon in the area. That night, the townspeople celebrated the appearance of a dungeon because it would help the town develop and reduce depopulation. At the party, Nin explained to Luna that monsters escape dungeons when they are not defeated, and I told her about how the clans were organizations of many groups recognized as national protectors like knights. A few days later, I met Nin while patrolling the town, and we were surprised by the number of adventurers who appeared in town. Meanwhile, a rank adventurers named Boo and Girly were about to fight in town, but I stopped them and told them to leave with their clans. They tried to attack me, but Melina and I pushed them to the point where they had to apologize. Both clans tried to flatter me, but I rejected their offers, and a guard informed me that Phil was looking for me. A moment later, Phil informed me that the administrator had requested I form a clan that I would lead, because that's what the people wanted. But I refused because I wanted to live a peaceful life with Manicia. Phil then gave me a second choice, destroy the Avancia dungeon, and I was shocked because I knew that would reduce the town's development by half. Phil told me I didn't have to make a decision right away, and then Luna informed me that Manicia was in critical condition. When I rushed home, I found Manicia dozing on the bed and asked Luna and Nin to help me destroy the Avancia dungeon. However, Luna suggested we form a clan, and she would lead in my stead so I could carry out my side quests. Nin also requested to join my clan, and Manicia told me to prioritize protecting the town over her. Hearing this, I decided I would protect the town as well as Manicia, and I asked the girls for help. The next day, The girls and I were on our way to meet the team raiding the Avancia dungeon, and I felt uncomfortable that my old team members were also part of the group. When we arrived at the meeting point, Lilia and Lily introduced themselves, and another team member named Shugel introduced himself as a temple knight before inviting us inside to discuss the details. When he opened the curtain, we saw Kygless sitting in a corner, and Nin immediately went to confront him, but I stopped her. I asked Kygless to explain, and Kygless said the group had met a sentient guardian the day before. I was shocked to hear this because I know they could never talk to the guardians they fought for so far, even though they looked human, and Kygless told me to explore the dungeon instead of him, because he was seriously injured. He suddenly acted like a brutal tsundere when telling me to complete the mission, and Lilia explained that for me to complete the mission was his way of apologizing. I agreed to take on the mission, and as I left with the group, Kygless apologized for everything before telling me not to be late. Not long after, the others and I arrived at the Avancia dungeon, and we stepped into a magic circle that transported us to the first floor. Luna was surprised to see that this floor was a large forest, and I told her not to be fooled by the sun in the sky as it does not reflect the real time. I also explained that things that are normally impossible can happen inside the dungeon as the space has been distorted. When the magic circle disappeared, she asked how we could find our way out, and I replied that we need to find another magic circle to escape this place. Nin reassured Luna that they would be fine, as Lily has a skill called walking in the underground, which allows her to easily move to floors she had been to. She said only 6 people can be teleported that way, and I told Nin to show Luna a magic similar to walking in the underground, so she activated an emergency escape magic. Luna immediately copied the magic, and this impressed everyone. But I know that it is the fighting homunculus's ability. Just then, 3 peacock monsters appeared. So I put Lilia and Shugel at the front, while Nin and Lily support and heal from behind. I asked Luna to position herself where she could protect everyone, and as usual, I took the role of the group's shield. When the monsters attacked, I attracted the attention of one of them with my taunt skill, and Shugel blocked the attacks of the second peacock monster before slashing its arm. Lilia moved through the air by stepping on ice crystals, and she cut down one of the peacock monsters with quick sword slashes. Meanwhile, the dungeon guardian was observing the team from a different spot, and he thought they were really impressive. After defeating the beasts, the whole team was transported to another part of the dungeon, where they were attacked by 2 giant monsters called Fieldsaurus. They tried to dodge the attacks, and I noticed that the beasts were faster than usual. So I wondered if it was the work of the Guardian. I told the whole team to find the magic circle while I dealt with the 2 giants, and after they ran off, I made the beast charge at me with my taunt skill. However, Lilia and Shugel joined the fight, and Shugel told me that we need to conserve our strength to fight the Guardian. Nin informed us that she had found the magic circle. Therefore, I decided to proceed forward instead of continuing the fight. The Maze Guardian observed as the whole party advanced further and further, and he awaited the upcoming battle with them. Meanwhile, Nin pointed out that the next floor was the 10th floor, and also the final floor. Therefore, I thanked the whole party for accepting my peculiar goals. Lilia said they didn't mind as they knew how important family was, and Shugel agreed. Nin said I shouldn't thank them yet, and then stepped into the teleportation circle with the whole group before inviting me to join. I stepped into the circle, and all of us were teleported to the final floor, where the Guardian appeared and praised our skills before introducing himself as Marius. I said I heard the previous Guardian was found on the 5th floor. Therefore, Marius explained that he decided to wait on the 10th floor so as not to go easy on our strong party. He then attacked me, but I blocked with my sword, and Marius's attack was so strong it felt like my hand was about to be torn apart. As Marius retreated, I said I wanted to talk, but Marius dodged me while preparing a powerful technique. I realized Marius was not joking, so I told the whole party that we would negotiate after the battle. Everyone charged at Marius with their strongest attacks, and he blocked them, deciding to face them with his full strength. He told them to run for their lives if they didn't want to die, and then transformed into a fearsome, bony monster. When I remembered Manicia, I decided I would win no matter the cost, and I blocked Marius's relentless attacks before Lilia attacked him with a fierce sword slash. Shugel suggested taking turns drawing the enemy's attention, and I agreed. I advised Shugel not to face Marius directly, and issued further commands to the whole party before using my unique skill on Marius. Before Marius could attack me, Lilia slashed his chest and fell to the ground. Luna tried to check on her, but Nin told her they had to hold their ground to support the rest of the party. I noticed Marius's attacks were slowing down, so I tried to sneak up on him from behind, but before I could launch my attack, Marius threw his sword at me. Fortunately, Luna blocked the sword with light magic, and this allowed me to attack Marius with my life transformation skill. However, Marius survived the explosion, and I realized that just one more life transformation attack would finish him off, as the previous attack had already been effective. Just then, Marius attacked us with rocks, and I shielded them, but Lilia suddenly collapsed. Marius knocked Shugel back with a fatal blow, and when I saw how badly he was injured, I told the whole party to retreat. However, the group said they would not back down, and I held off Marius while Lily and Lilia performed a combination of Dragon Ball to become Liliane. The entire army of Marius attacked relentlessly, and this allowed me to end the battle with a massive, life-altering transformation. Afterward, Marius gave me the dungeon's secret treasure, and said it would make my wish come true if I infused my mana into it. He asked me to finish him off, but I said I wanted him to continue ruling the dungeon, and we became friends. When I returned home, I gave Manicia the secret treasure, and when she used it, it healed her illness. Seeing this, I was so moved that I hugged her tightly and started crying. A while later, I was in the middle of town, and I noticed how crowded this area had become. I was about to start mediating the battles once more when Girly and Bew appeared, and I told them I had a request for them. When I returned home, Nin told me that we needed to recruit more people to help manage the estate. I agreed and pointed out that I couldn't put too much pressure on Manicia, as she already had to deal with the office work. I had previously asked Lilia, but she said she didn't know enough to teach others and advised me to collaborate with other families. She explained that I needed to form an alliance of equals with the other families and said that the other families would refuse unless I offered them something beneficial. For now, I told everyone that we had driven away the protector because I wanted to protect Marius, and she told me I could use her to help promote the family if our recruitment troubles continued. However, I refused and said she wouldn't like that. Just then, Marius arrived and told me he wanted me to manage the dungeon, but I said I was too busy at the moment. After that, I asked Marius if it was okay for him to wander around so much even though he was the dungeon's protector, and he said that wasn't an issue. I asked if Marius had any grudges against anyone, and Marius said no before asking me to help manage the dungeon in exchange for his services. I allowed him to become a member of the family and asked him to tell me about managing the dungeon, so he gladly ran off. A little later, a group of fake adventurers were gathering outside the dungeon, but Marius took me through a secret passage, leading us to a special floor in the dungeon, basically the manager's office. Marius explained that the pool in the center of the floor displayed the dungeon's interior and allowed him to control the dungeon in the same way Nakame controlled the Infinite Fortress. He said they could use points to create and duplicate monsters, and when I asked if the points increased automatically, Marius said they could gain points over time by draining the captive's absorption. I realized that I could gain points if my absorption was greatly damaged. Therefore, I asked Marius to show me how it worked. When I asked if he could only duplicate goblins, Marius said that the monsters he could duplicate included goblins, a red orc, a peacock king, and a field saurus. He also revealed that monsters could only be respawned from the originals they created, and said that the monsters could help me when I needed them if I built trust with them. I was surprised to learn that monsters can like humans, and I was panicked to see a monster worth 1 million points on screen. Marius explained that he could only create it with a spellbook that allowed them to create a random monster like a gacha game. When I tried, it spawned a slime and it immediately liked me. Marius confirmed that they can now duplicate slimes, and I realized that they can obtain weak monsters over time. Most adventurers came for that field slayer, but I knew the activity would calm down as the materials became common in town. This would allow them to create many types of monsters in the dungeon and maintain a stable number of adventurers. I knew it would also help me manage my own tribe, and the randomly spawned slime monster bumped me with a pat. I thanked the slime for the idea and promised Marius that I would take over the dungeon management. I asked Marius to manage the dungeon for another half year while I thought about what kind of dungeon we should create to attract more adventurers, and Marius agreed. When I asked what to do with the slime, Marius suggested bringing it home. When I returned home with the slime, Luna tried to protect Manicia from it, but I said it was our new pet, so Manicia suggested naming it. I named it Lime, and everyone liked the name. Elsewhere, Boo and Girly informed their tribal leaders that my tribe wanted to form an alliance with them, and they decided to send me an invitation to a party they would hold soon. A few days later, I and my team arrived in the town of Khalid, and I informed Marius that we had received an invitation to a party from two tribes named Black Dragon Fang and White Tiger Fist. When I first spoke to the whole team about the invitation, Nin asked if there were any conditions, and I said that the guilds had rejected our alliance request, but said they would consider it if my tribe served under them. I also revealed that they asked to have Nin in exchange for their cooperation, because she is a famous saintess, and Nin said that she would never leave our tribe. Therefore, I said that I would refuse their offer. However, I said that I would attend their party because I could not miss the opportunity to talk to the leaders of the two high-level tribes. And Marius revealed that he had found a cave with a dungeon that had sentience like him, called the Keld Dungeon. I realized that if I raided that cave and obtained another magic stone, it could completely cure Manicia's illness. Therefore, I decided to try my best to form an alliance with those tribes so that I could obtain the treasure. That evening, the whole team wore party attire and entered the ballroom. While there, they enjoyed fine dining until the vice leader of the Black Dragon Fang, Ike, took the stage with the vice leader of the White Tiger Fist, Cynthia. Nin was invited as a special guest, but I accompanied her to complain that they had expelled her from my tribe. When they asked who I was, I introduced myself as the leader of Nin's tribe, and Ike revealed that he was the one who told Kygless to drive me out of the heroic British tribe. Ike spoke ill of me and asked Nin for a position in his tribe. Cynthia also tried to ask Nin, but I said I wouldn't let them have her, and revealed that I came here to form an alliance. Ike said he couldn't trust a tanker, but Nin spoke up and revealed that I was the strongest tanker. After that, I grabbed the mic and announced that my tribe would conquer the Keld Dungeon, which even their top tribes couldn't raid. Just then, the leader of the Black Dragon Fang tribe, Gosh, appeared and shook my hand. I could feel from the handshake that he was extremely strong, and Gosh said he would form an alliance with me if I could overcome the dungeon. He handed the mic to the leader of the White Tiger tribe, Lutel, who also agreed to an alliance with me if I could overcome the dungeon. After the party, Nin thanked me for protecting her, and I decided I would conquer the Keld Dungeon at all costs. Then I met Lily, who pulled me into a room and seemed like she was ready to make my every secret dream come true. She asked me to help her tie the back of her skirt, which had come undone, so I fulfilled her request. When I finished, she thanked me and said she wanted to surprise her older sister with a gift. I was about to leave, but Lily stopped me and said she needed to ask me something. She said she was very impressed with how boldly I declared my intentions at the party, because she was too timid to tell anyone what she wanted to do. When I asked her what she wanted to do, she said she wanted to learn how to be independent, and explained that she had never had to worry about anything with her sister by her side. She had been a fool since her early years, always making mistakes, but Lilia had protected her, and for that reason, she saw her sister as a perfect girl, capable of doing anything. Lily said that even when they fought, all she did was support from behind. And I said that was because she was a talented mage, but she said her sister could also use magic, even though she was a frontline warrior. She also revealed that Lilia was always the main character when they teamed up, and said she had never fought alone. She once again told me that she wanted to learn how to take care of herself, and I realized that she found it difficult to tell Lilia that she wanted to be more independent because they were too close. As a true Casanova, I told her she could cause me any trouble she wanted, and she really jumped up, expressing her excitement at being asked to help me one more time. However, she stumbled, and when Lilia walked into the room, she found us in a posture that looked like we were reenacting a classic Johnny Sins scene. Oh my, why is it like this? I tried to explain that it was an accident, but Lilia angrily asked me to go to the rooftop with her. When we got up there, I thought I was going to be pushed down, but Lilia said it was okay because she knew I would never do anything to hurt someone's precious little sister. She admitted that she was only pretending to be half dead in the room, so that she could bring me up there and ask me if she had ever told me about their origins. I said she had mentioned that their parents had abandoned them, but she clarified that they had actually run away from their abusive parents. Their father was particularly cruel to them, and this is why Lily had a hard time talking normally with a man. Lilia said that her goal was to one day bring Lily to a place where she could be truly happy, and she decided to keep her sister safe until then. I was glad that her words showed that they truly loved each other, and I mentioned that Lily called Lilia perfect. Lilia said that she wasn't perfect, and I agreed that she wasn't perfect because she sometimes lost her composure when talking about her sister. She thanked me for listening to her rambling, and I said that she could talk to me anytime because she was my friend. The next day, I and the others came to the entrance of the labyrinth, and there we met the twin sisters who had returned from the 49th floor. Lily said that they were supported by the labyrinth explorers to the 49th floor, and announced that she could now use the warp in the dungeon to transport all of us there. However, she said that she chose not to go to the 50th floor because she wanted us to appraise the monsters, and revealed that she had gathered information. She examined the formation that the two great clans used in their raids, and discovered that both clans had offensive spells and two healers, which meant that they used formations that focused on speed and to have their offensive spells act as tanks. Lily also revealed that each floor had a lot of status-affecting monsters, and I was confident that my strong body skills could neutralize that. Nin admitted that it was a challenging labyrinth, but said that they had to do whatever it took to clear at least the 51st floor so that they could form an alliance with the two great clans. Inside the dungeon, I left Marius at the back and put Lilia and Luna at the front of the charge while Nin focused on healing. Lily asked if she could give commands in battle, and I was impressed that she tried to change, so I agreed and pointed out that the attacks from the back row were the most understandable. Afterward, she transported us to the top floor by using the warp in the dungeon, and when we got there, Marius pointed out that there were monsters nearby. Just then, a poisonous lizard and a ghoul appeared, so Marius and Lilia rushed to face them. The hero, in a fit of sacrifice and inspired by his heroic skills, caused the venomous lizard to spray poison onto me. I stopped and crushed the lizard with my blade, but then a crow began to attack me. Marius defeated the bird with a sword strike, but another one appeared and lunged at Lily until Lilia terminated it with her sword. As more crows appeared, Lily told me that there was no need to continue fighting, so I used a flash bomb to disorient them, allowing us to escape. The group praised Lily for giving clear directions, and Nin said that she realized they could choose whether to transfer their assassination skills to me by using my sacrifice skill. The group began to praise me for my superb abilities, and I asked Marius to tell us about himself. Marius revealed that he was a demonoid, creatures from ancient times who swore loyalty to the devil. He said that he could control the labyrinth because he was a demonoid, and he revealed that labyrinths were originally created by the devil to destroy humankind. He suspected that a powerful demonoid was managing the labyrinth we were in, and when I asked if he would be okay fighting one of his own kind, Marius said that he would for a personal grudge he had with his kind. Lily then shared her plan with the whole team, and they proceeded through the labyrinth, defeating every monster they encountered until they reached the 50th floor. There, they had to face a bone dragon, and I charged in first, just as Lily had instructed them before the battle. When I was pushed back, Marius and Lilia began to attack it, but it retaliated with a barrage of bone spikes. The bone dragon began to overwhelm us with unexpected techniques. So, Lily healed everyone with a wide area healing spell. An hour later, the bone dragon suddenly fired a massive fire attack at me, but I blocked it, and the rest of the team launched a series of attacks, creating an opportunity for me to finish the dragon by using a death transformation. That evening, Lily reviewed some plans with the whole team, and I suggested holding a party to celebrate our victory, but Lilia said she had other commitments. At the party, Nin congratulated everyone on a job well done, and they shared drinks together. Luna noticed Nin swaying after drinking a cup of alcohol, so she asked if the alcohol was good. Nin told her to try it, and when she drank a sip, she immediately spat it out due to its bitter taste. Nin mentioned that I had recently become quite close with the twins, and I said that nothing was different, but then she asked Luna for her opinion on the matter. Luna jokingly said that she also thought I had become closer to them, and I realized that the small sip of alcohol she drank had made her tiny brain spin. I confirmed that there is nothing ambiguous happening between me and the twins. Therefore, Nin asked me to become something more than a teammate to her. I told her that I have no intention of starting any romantic relationship at this time because I am focused on conquering the dungeons to cure my sister, and Nin felt relieved with the thought that I would have time for romance later. Luna then admitted that whenever she felt happy with me, she always felt a warm sensation in her chest, and then she told me that she wanted to spend more time with me. I agreed, and Nin praised me for being a master of seduction. After that, I went into the room to cool down, and there I found Lilia sleeping on my bed. When Lilia woke up, I asked her why she was sleeping on my bed, and she explained that she had asked Marius to put her in my room so that she could wait for me, but ended up falling asleep due to exhaustion. I asked her what she wanted to talk about, and to answer, she mentioned that Lily had been working very hard in the dungeon. I told Lily that she surprised me because she could do more than I thought, and Lilia told me that Lily could always complete the task with ease as long as she stayed calm. I said that it made sense because their abilities were comparable as they were twin sisters. And Lilia said that she was impressed with how Lily was changing from moment to moment, but guessed that she was exhausted from overworking. When I asked her what she meant, she asked me if I thought the change was scary, and I said that I don't like change much, especially because of what's happening in Avancia. However, I admit that I'm glad everything has changed in the town because Avancia would never be as lively as it is now if it hadn't changed. And I think the best choice is to find a way to enjoy the change. Lilia said that she was weaker than Lily, which was why she always wanted to support her sister, but admitted that she felt sad because Lily was growing distant from her. I realized that Lilia's inability to let her sister go was a bigger problem than Lily's independence. I then tried to comfort her by telling her that I was sure they would always be together, even if the world tore them apart. Lilia was once again impressed with my wisdom, and she told me that she never wanted to turn her back on Lily again like she did that day. The next day, the group met on the first floor of the Keld dungeon, and I announced that we would start from the 51st floor that day, before handing over the command to Lily. Lily said that they didn't have much information about the 51st floor because it was the furthest place the two clans had reached, and pointed out that they needed to use something stronger than detection magic to find the monster because the fog in the area was too dense. I assigned Lily the task of detection, while Marius and I searched as best as we could, and I told Luna to be careful. Luna said she had no intentions with what she said last night, and this made Nin mock her for being the type of person who would recall their foolish mistakes while drunk. Afterward, Lily used the walking in the shadows technique to transport us to the 51st floor, and when we arrived there, we found that the dense fog was interfering with our detection magic. So I asked Luna to dispel the fog with wind magic. Luna tried to do so, but it had no effect, and Marius explained that we couldn't dispel it because the fog was also magic. Afterward, I used my monster sensing ability, and when I detected a monster nearby, I used my breath skill to lure the monster to attack me with water magic. Suddenly, some filthy hands started grabbing everyone, and Luna tried to fend off the monsters. After sensing some nearby monsters, I guided everyone to run in a specific direction, and as they did, I was attacked by some monsters called siscon. I blocked their attacks, and Marius appeared to assist me. Everyone learned to detect monster mana as Marius suggested, and this allowed them to successfully defeat the siscon. Afterward, I collected the materials we got from the siscon, and the whole party enjoyed the siscon steak. When we arrived at the treasure room, we encountered a cursed skeleton with 3 rubies floating around it, and when I charged at it, the skeleton retaliated with a volley of attacks. When Marius and Lilia tried to flank the monster, it was blocked by a barrier, and this allowed me to push it back with my wind. However, the skeleton monster retaliated with a strange spell that caused Lilia to start attacking Marius. She screamed for them to stop hurting Lily because she was overwhelmed by memories of her abusive family, and Nin said she had to heal those affected by the status effect. First, I destroyed one of the skeleton's rubies using life transmutation and pushed Lilia to the ground. As she was struggling, I realized she was seeing illusions of her past traumas. So I told her that no one was there to hurt her anymore. She snapped out of it when I promised to protect her and Lily at all costs, and I added a reassurance before returning to the fight. I attacked the skeleton relentlessly until I discovered that it couldn't block magic and physical attacks at the same time. The whole party took advantage of this by unleashing all their strongest attacks at once, and I pushed the monster against the wall using life transmutation. The skeleton stood up and tried to use more stealthy tactics, but I outmaneuvered it and the group defeated the skeleton monster once and for all with a barrage of magic attacks. However, Lily realized she couldn't sense the teleportation circle, and Marius guessed it was because the Guardian didn't want them to go any further. I suggested leaving, but just then a woman appeared behind me and bit my neck. Some skeletons appeared in the area, but the woman destroyed them all with a single attack, and this made Marius realize she was a demon lord. I asked if the demon queen was the guardian of the dungeon, and she accidentally activated an ability called teleportation. This aura created a massive mana wave, overwhelming my team, but I knew it would take more than that to stop them. The Demon Queen was surprised that we were not affected by status effects after being hit by her attack, and she complained that divine abilities were a nuisance to her. I asked if she was the guardian of that dungeon, and she confirmed that she was, before asking if we were afraid of her. I said no because she was a cute lolly, and she laughed while saying she appreciated the compliment. However, Marius informed the siscon that the Demon Queen had lived for over 3 centuries, and she screamed at him to shut up while attacking him with wind attacks. She called Marius a failure of a demon lord, but I blocked the attacks she threw at Marius while telling her not to attack my friend. The Demon Queen said that the failure had allied with humans, but Marius said that she was wrong because he only acted out of revenge against the demon lords. However, she told him to get out of the way because he was just target practice to her. But I told her that she was dealing with a whole team and not just Marius. The Demon Queen was confused because she knew our individual strength was no match for her. And I told her that humans formed groups to compensate for the fact that they were too weak to achieve godhood on their own. She introduced herself as Aman and unleashed her dark aura. I charged at her with my sacrifice ability, and this allowed me to block her tornado attack. I used my sacrifice ability to make her absorb the next attacks into myself. While Marius and Lilia charged at her, she knocked both swordsmen away, and Luna and Lily attacked her with fire, but she used a whirlwind to deflect their attacks. I told Nin that even if I used my sacrifice ability, she would not absorb all the attacks hurled at me. And Amon started boasting about how useless our attacks were, so I charged at her again. She easily dodged me with wind magic, but Nin slowed her down with gravity magic, and Lilia charged in to land the finishing blow. However, Amon kicked him away and tossed Marius aside with a single hand. I charged in with my sacrifice ability, and Amon stopped me with wind slashes, but this only created an opportunity for Lily to attack her from behind with fire magic. Amon somehow deflected the flames, so I used my stun bomb to distract her while Marius and Lilia landed slashes to her stomach, and this attack caused the mana inside her to explode into a massive whirlwind. In the storm, Amon apologized for underestimating us, and Nin healed the whole team while pointing out she was stronger than any beast we'd ever faced. However, everyone expressed their determination to keep fighting, and I decided that we would all attack at once the storm blew over. Just then, Amon transformed into a giant wolf, which I realized was a Fenrir, and I asked Marius if he could transform into a beast, but he said doing so would make him attack both friend and foe. I dodged a blow from Amon and blocked another with my shield. Meanwhile, the Sword Legion, Marius and Lilia, struck her from both sides. However, they realized their attacks were doing no damage, as her fur was as hard as armor, and she continued to overwhelm me with claw attacks until Luna and Marius attacked her with a rain of fire. However, the attacks did not do much damage to her, and as she lunged at me again, I noticed that her attacks had become stronger. Just then, Marius slashed Amon's arm with a sword strike and apologized for taking too long to power up his attack. However, I said that it was perfect as he was able to cut through her thick hide and Amon attacked again. I blocked. Lilia used a dual sword skill she learned from Kirito to slash Amon's head, and Amon tried to flee, but Lilia stopped her by stabbing her back before landing 2 more critical blows. I activated my taunt skill, and this caused Amon to charge at me. As I blocked her claw, I noticed her movements had slowed, but she suddenly began attacking with a more furious wind magic. Marius tried to strike her again, but the wind pushed him back, and I realized the gem on her forehead had activated a strong wind barrier around her. Lilia instructed Nin to use an exorcism spell while the rest of the team attacked at once, so she began chanting while the rest of the team charged at Amon. I was being overwhelmed by Amon's winds, but I managed to hold on until Nin successfully dispelled Amon's wind barrier. Amon tried to flee, but Luna blocked her path with an explosion of fire, and the Sword Legion began to tear her apart. Marius signaled me to attack, so I struck her with a deadly transformation, but unfortunately, Amon retaliated with a massive wind spell that overwhelmed me. I took the blow, but we noticed that the Sword Legion had fainted. A wounded Amon crashed to the ground, so I told Luna and Nin to heal the Sword Legion as they would die if they took another wind attack. Nin warned me that it was too dangerous for me because my absorption had been broken, but I said I could still fight with my tanker skills and reminded her that I was the only one who could stop Amon's attacks. Then, I rushed forward and blocked one of Amon's grabs. When Amon tried to attack me with a gale one more time, the attack couldn't be formed, so I realized Amon was in a bad state. I decided to suggest a retreat, but Lily said they could continue fighting, and she came up with a plan, including her switching to an offensive role after merging with Lilia. I endured Amon's attacks until Lily finished merging and started attacking the beast. She had trouble using the merged body, so I covered for her while urging her to fight as she normally would. When Amon attacked me one more time, I was able to block it by drawing out all the mana in my body, and this allowed Lily to defeat Amon with a powerful magic slash. After the battle, Amon gave me a magical stone, and I asked her about the goal of the Demon Kings. Then, I invited her to join my party to fight the Demon Kings, and she agreed. Sometime later, I reported that my party had conquered the labyrinth, and the final tribes agreed to form an alliance with me. On the way home, Lily thanked me for helping her in the battle, and then kissed me before passing out. When we returned to Avancia, Manicia used the magic stone to heal herself more, and she thanked Amon for her help, before inviting her to stay with us. A few days later, Manicia received some requests from the townspeople, and she asked me to look over the remaining ones before leaving with Lon. After she left, I picked up the stack of requests, and I was happy that 2 major tribes agreed to ally with us, but I worried that the development of the town came with big problems. Just then, Nin appeared and took me to a room where a girl they found on the road was being healed by Luna, and she revealed to us that the girl was a homunculus. The girl suddenly woke up and begged Luna to help her save her friends, who were attacked in the forest near their town. Nin and I agreed to go, and Luna asked to join us. I said she needed to stay there to take care of the girl instead of going. As we rushed through the forest, I realized that the path ahead led to the labyrinth, and I wondered how the monsters had escaped when I was managing it. We arrived at a place where we saw two groups of homunculi fighting each other, and Nin pointed out that one of the groups had been forced into the battle. She also noted that the defensive people had feelings similar to the girl we met earlier. Therefore, I blocked an attack from an aggressive homunculus and introduced myself as a mage from Avancia. Another homunculus joined the attack, and I tried to persuade them to listen to me, but they continued to attack. I knocked them out and explained to the good homunculus that her friend had come seeking our help, but the girl pounced on me and began fighting her opponent once more. I noticed she was evenly matched with her opponent, and when another homunculus attempted to ambush her, I blocked the attack, while asking the girl if she was friends with the homunculus we had met. The girl said yes and revealed that the attacking group were fighting homunculi from Brunkles, and I remembered Brunkles was the same town Luna had escaped from. I asked Nin to heal the good homunculus group, so she used a powerful healing spell on them while Amon watched from above. I asked the girl if the fighting homunculi had feelings, and she replied, no, before revealing they were sent to annihilate her group. I realized they had to be defeated, and it made me sad as I felt they could have been given a life as fulfilling as Luna's. But then Amon suddenly appeared behind me. She told me that the fighting homunculi were essentially puppets, and I knew she was trying to be considerate of my feelings despite her cold words. When they attacked once more, I blocked them with my sword and cut off one of their arms. However, they charged at me, so I destroyed them by slashing their mana crystals. When Nin finished healing the good homunculus group, I told them their friend was at our clan's home, and asked if they would follow me there. From their haggard appearance, I could tell they had lived a rough life, and I suspected they hated humans. The blue-haired homunculus frankly stated that she didn't like humans, but she requested to accompany us as she and her friends had nowhere else to go. When I brought them to the clan home, Manicia served them some food, and Nin told me I would have to speak with the steward there as I was harboring homunculi from Brunkles. She also noted that we would be able to keep them safe as word would surely reach the higher-ups, and the townspeople would become wary of them. I pointed out that Avancia's steward was very friendly, and said I was sure he would listen to us. At that, one of the homunculi thanked us for saving her group and introduced herself as Fair before asking if we were going to meet the town leader. We said yes, so Fair requested to accompany us as it would be faster if one of them spoke directly to him about what was happening in Brunkles. I told him he could be wary of her, so Fair requested we tie her up beforehand, promising to tell us everything she knew. I didn't want to tie her up, so I held her hand as we walked through town and ignored the murmurs of the townspeople. When we explained everything to the town steward, he said he had suspected the homunculi were being created in Brunkles, but was very surprised at the harsh treatment they were subjected to. I told him the homunculus group had nowhere else to go, and asked him to let them stay in town so they could provide the manpower we were short on. The manager agreed, and asked Fair if she knew why the technology was used to create homunculi in the first place, and she said it was due to a demon lord named Greed, who appeared in Brunkles 20 years ago. He said he would pass on the information she shared to the state, and assured that Avancia would offer her protection. On the way home, I asked Fair about the blue-haired homunculus, and Fair revealed that she was a powerful commander named Mina. At the clan house, I told the homunculi that the town had officially offered them protection, and asked them what they were good at since I intended to find them jobs. They started panicking because they didn't want to work for humans again, but I reassured them by saying they would work under fair conditions. Manicia then proposed we assign the homunculus group the task of building a public bathhouse, and I agreed it was a brilliant idea. After she left, Nin told me that she had noticed Luna acting strangely close with the other homunculi. A little later, I met Luna and asked her why she was spending all her time with the homunculi, and she said it was because she considered herself fortunate to have been rescued by me. She admitted that she had not yet told them that she was a homunculus, because she was afraid that revealing it would cause trouble for me. However, she said that she wanted to tell everyone when everyone in town accepted the homunculi, and I comforted her with a pat on the head. On the way home, Amon ambushed me by pressing her chest against my face and told me she was teaching the homunculi magic lessons. When I asked about Greed, she said he was mass-producing homunculi just to pass the time, since demon lords are immortal. She cited another reason for Greed's experiment as him aiming to create ultimate power, which she described as the power I possess. I said I could not forgive Greed for his inhumane actions, and I asked her if Greed was trapped in a labyrinth, for which she warned me that my power could turn me into a monster if I used it too much. She also said that I could become a demon lord if I used my power correctly, and I said I had no interest in becoming a demon lord. When I left, my body started emitting a dark aura, and I heard a voice telling me to destroy something. A few weeks later, the homunculi had made considerable progress in building the public bathhouse, and the townspeople started offering them food and gifts in recognition of their efforts. Meanwhile, I had been undergoing some mana training in the Avancia labyrinth because I knew there was a chance the demon lord Greed would try to eliminate me for possessing ultimate power. After destroying some monsters, I arrived at the management floor of the labyrinth, where I found Nin playing with a Pokemon named Bavern, which I pulled from the monster gotcha machine. And Maria said she was lucky because it was a monster worth 70,000 points. Lily has created a dragon named Lufair, and they both thanked me for letting them use my points to create companions for themselves. Nin said that being a maze manager is great because the monsters love me so much, but Marius said that the animals never showed him affection in the same way. A few days later, I announced that the public bathhouse had officially opened, and some of the townsfolk were suspicious about whether the bathhouse was safe since it was built by homunculi, but the adventurers were impressed by its great appearance. I said that the adventurers would be the first to test this facility and go in to bathe. When the girls arrived at the women's bathhouse, Lily said that she was impressed by its great appearance, and Lilia immediately started washing her hair. Nin told Manicia that she also wanted to wash her hair because washing hair with a friend was something she always wanted to do. Manicia agreed and took off her towel, but Aman interrupted by asking who would wash her. A moment later, Aman said it was a shame there wasn't a mixed bathhouse after all the transformation magic spells they had performed in her magic lessons, and Nin reminded her that it was supposed to be a secret. Manicia asked which transformation magic spell they would use for a mixed bath, and Aman said Nin would use her magic to make her breasts larger. However, Nin appeared behind her, threatening to stuff her belly full of food with all the vegetables she hated. If she didn't stop talking, Eamon panicked and accused her of being jealous that she had the largest breasts among all of my close female friends. Hearing this, the twins held her hands while Nin played with Amon's 2 breasts, and Lily finally took those pads. Manicia laughed and said it was great to have fun with everyone, and Lily reassured her that she would be able to do so more and more over time. They heard a commotion from the men's bathhouse, and it turned out to be the silly adventurers begging me to let them peek into the women's bathhouse. I said that I would never let them see Manicia in her natural form, and I discovered Marius climbing the wall. So I asked him why he was trying to peek. Marius said he didn't care about peeking, but he just enjoyed the thrill. The adventurers started rambling about wanting to see the girls' bodies until I threw them out. And in the process of begging me, one of the shameless guys said that he wanted to catch a glimpse of Nin's flat chest. Hearing this, Nin was so angry that she prepared to attack them with a hollow purple. And I told those idiots to use their imagination because all the other girls had similarly sized breasts. After bathing, I met Fair and told her how much I had enjoyed myself at the resort. When some of the townsfolk asked if there was anything dangerous there, I said it was fine, and the other adventurers were also happy with their experience. At that moment, Mina appeared and bowed her head while asking everyone to try resting, so they agreed to go in. When the girls went out, I asked them about their experience, and Nin said she really enjoyed bathing but disliked perverts showering her. A little while later, everyone thanked Mina and the others for their service, and I also thanked Mina for cooperating with me. At that moment, some fool coincidentally informed me that a large monster horde was heading towards Avancia, and the guild issued an urgent request to all adventurers, as the guards could not handle those monsters themselves. At the inn, I informed the adventurers that the monster horde numbered over 150, but reassured them that they would be fine, as they were fighting alongside the super-strong warriors who conquered the Kel dungeon. I also informed them that they would be handsomely rewarded for each monster they defeated, and they all agreed to participate in the mission. However, Moria said he had a bad feeling about it, and Aman informed me that a powerful new dungeon had appeared in the area. She revealed that the monsters were being duplicated inside the dungeon, which meant that more monsters could appear in town, and everyone volunteered to help me solve this monster problem. A little while later, the monsters arrived at the town gates, and the knights began to strike them down with arrows and magic attacks. However, the monsters began to fight back with their own magic attacks, so I and the team jumped in to confront them. We ripped apart a horde of goblins, and the rest of the army also fought until they completely wiped out the monsters. At that moment, a second monster wave appeared, and this time, they came along with a chameleon king and Fieldsaurus. So the adventurers started to panic. However, the chameleon king and Fieldsaurus began to attack the enemy monsters, as they were actually duplicates of the monsters in the Avancia dungeon, which I had entrusted Bavern and Lufair to create. I jumped in again and defeated the second monster group, with the help of my monster companions. Then, I decided that we needed to conquer the newly formed dungeon to stop the monster attacks, and Amon informed me that the new dungeon belonged to Greed. This further motivated me, and when I told Aemon about my intention to capture Greed, she gave me some special arrows that could suppress the abilities of a demon. Marius was eager to conquer the dungeon, but I told him that the team for the raid would be me and the girls with the addition of Mina. Marius argued that he wanted to fight, but I told him that he was the only one I trusted to lead the adventurers in my absence, so he agreed to stay behind. Then, the girls and I entered the new dungeon, and we were confused because it was completely empty. At that moment, a portal opened and Greed appeared from it. Greed introduced himself to us, and I immediately asked him to surrender, but Greed said he would never do that. I informed him that we had defeated all the monsters he sent to the city, but Greed showed me a screen that there were still thousands of new monsters heading towards the city. I was dazed, but I kept a calm face as I told Greed that Avancia could not be conquered with the force he had prepared. However, Greed said that it was not impossible, as he had countless points from which he could summon monsters. And I boldly declared that we would defeat him and destroy the dungeon before that happens. Greed then pointed out that Luna and Mina were homunculi, and Nin was very surprised. Therefore, Luna opened her magic wand and admitted that she was a homunculus. He asked her to return to his side, but Luna pointed her sword at him and said that her only master was me. Nin asked Luna and me why we didn't tell her, and Luna tried to explain, but the girls stepped forward before her, while Nin happily told her to explain later. Greed then transformed into a monster form and attacked me. I blocked with my shield, but I noticed his attacks were very strong, and I managed to push back that demon. Lilia attempted to attack, but Greed dodged her slash, and I tried to warn Mina to stay away from Greed, but he grabbed her sword and knocked her to the ground. When I came to check on her, she told me not to worry and vowed to protect the homunculi. She said she was ready to die to defeat Greed. Therefore, I told her to stay away from the battle because I didn't want anyone to die. She argued that her life was invaluable because she was a homunculus, but I told her not to throw her life away. Greed intended to send both of us to heaven, but the mages blocked the attack with a magic shield, and I successfully provoked him, causing Greed to shift his target to attack me. After I blocked that attack, Lilia and Mina rushed in to attack Greed. He intended to blow them away, but Luna nullified his magic, creating an opportunity for both of them to land fatal blows. Greed fell to the ground, and I immediately clasped my hands to seal the demon. Outside the city, 2 tankers avoided the Kygless summon that had previously occurred and were fighting against the horde of monsters, and when an orc tried to finish one of them, Kygless arrived just in time to save them with a life-threatening burst attack. She was surprised to see him, and Kygless said he was glad to see they were okay. Meanwhile, Marius unleashed a powerful magic slash that destroyed an entire group of monsters at once, and Shugel asked Amon for help fighting, but she said she wanted to take a nap. However, he snatched the donut she was eating and reminded her that Manicia had promised to reward her efforts with more sweet donuts. Upon hearing this, the queen, who was finally bored, joined the battle, and she unleashed a light magic spell, initially looking foolish, but ultimately destroying all monsters before her. Returning to the labyrinth, I decided to bring Greed back to town with me. But as I got close to him, I noticed a magic gem on Greed's chest. Just then, a dark shadow appeared behind him, and I barely managed to stop its attack before knocking it into the wall. From that shadow appeared the real Greed, and he explained that the Greed we fought earlier was a homunculus he had copied his power into. He once again introduced himself and transformed into his Demon King form before firing a magic attack at me. I blocked with my sword, but the force of the attack pushed me back. I charged at him, but Greed appeared behind me and kicked me to the ground. Greed attempted to attack once more. Nin protected me with a rain of light magic attacks, and the twins had merged before charging at the Demon King. Greed managed to block their attacks, and Mina tried to attack him, but he also managed to dodge her attacks. Suddenly, Greed switched to a higher level and he charged at me like a madman, but I managed to stop his explosive attack. Lilian held Greed back while I prepared my ultimate attack, and when they signaled me, I charged at Greed with my berserk skill. Greed had taken down the twins with a magic vortex, but this created an opportunity for me to launch a life-transforming blow at Greed. However, Greed appeared without any sign and kicked me into the corner. I tried to launch another life-transforming slash, but Greed took me down with a powerful punch and defeated the rest of the team in the blink of an eye. Luna charged at him with a dagger, but Greed stopped her with a barbaric headbutt and began to choke her in an attempt to surpass his own limits like Asta. I released all of my mana at once, and this caused me to lose control. I suddenly slammed greed into the wall, and Nin was horrified to see a terrifying red aura emerge from my body. In this enraged form, I started slamming greed until Nin snapped me back to my senses. I realized that I was temporarily possessed by my own mana, and at that moment, my mana took over my body once more. I remembered Amon's words and feared that I would turn into a monster, but I finally managed to suppress my mana once again with Nin's help. After that, I picked up my sword, and Greed began to brag about how he would destroy our town. I told Nin to keep healing me while I poured everything I had into a single attack, and she agreed. After that, I activated my sacrifice sword, and this empowered all the soldiers on the battlefield. I told Greed that I was the strongest tanker in the world, and annihilated him with a life-transforming slash. After that, the girls and I returned to Avancia, and we reunited with everyone in town. I am praised by the soldiers and the town as a war hero. If you were me, who do you think you could impress in the private room? Nin, Amon, Luna, or perhaps you are a siscon and prefer Manicia? Let us know in the comments section. My story ends here. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you again.